Hey, what's going on, you guys? It's your boy Town Biz. So I felt that I needed to address this because I had saw this in a couple of group chats that I was part of. People had asked me about this, and a lot of people were upset about this because they were like, "Okay, can this even be done?" And I'm here to tell you. And I at first I almost fell for that, and I had to think about that. I was like, no, that's never been allowed before. And then you just couldn't spring that on a boxer. They would have to sign that. So apparently, Gala Sheet tweeted out something that caused the uproar. Now, the only people who thought that was a good idea was the flat-footed, one-dimensional, predominantly Mexican fighters that thought that this was actually a reality. But Turkey, or people that are not mobile, flat-footed fighters. But Turkey had tweeted saying that he had a surprise for Shakur Stevenson because I guess he had watched the Jack Catterall. First of all, the Jack Catterall, Harlem Eubanks fight was a decent fight. It wasn't the worst fight that I ever saw, and I think it's just getting to the point where people are just complaining just to be complaining. Okay, it was enough excitement to keep. It was enough excitement in the fight to keep people from booing. And at the end of the day, it was a deep fight. It ended on a low note because basically, that Jack Catterall suffered a horrible headbutt, and basically the doctors knew where this was going, um, and basically they said enough. But Jack Catterall was so far ahead on the cards to where, he won a unanimous decision. I mean, going into the or 4-2. Uh, Turkey tweeted, getting back to Turkey, which I think Turkey shouldn't be saying stuff like this because now it's getting along the lines of where it's getting offensive and it's getting to the point to where, like, dude, you're coming across as a dictator now. And at the end of the day, you've never fought in your life. You've never been in an actual fight. I know you want to entertain people, but at the end of the day, you're not the one that's getting in there training for anywhere from, uh, you know, uh, 8 to 10 weeks for a fight. So, with that being said, I do think that you need to pipe down, but I really think that somebody is putting a battery and Turkey's back, and in all likelihood, they have pale skin and they have a bald head. I think that person that's putting that battery pack, and I think Turkey needs to get with people that actually know boxing, understand boxing, that have knowledge of boxing. Should hire my man Justin McRae. Should give him, he should give him a call, but it's probably it'd be very difficult to get near Turkey because Turkey have a lot of handlers and stuff. But with that being said, people was asking me about Turkey Al Sheik and his shrinking ring as the rounds go on versus Shakur Stevenson and Williams Zepeda. First of all, that would never be allowed. And first of all, if somebody even tried that with me as a boxer, say, "Oh, we're good," do you know how dangerous that would be? The ring shrinks as the fight goes on, and to what size? Have you guys ever been inside a ring? So how would you even be able to do something like that? So a lot of people fell for it, and a lot of people was pissed off. Like I said, I would never, if somebody pulled that with me as a fighter or as a promoter, I would never allow say, told me at the last minute, I'd be like, well, my fighter won't be fighting. But I think now Turkey didn't went too far, like criticizing fighter styles. And that's the problem that I have with a lot of these people online. A lot of these people ain't never been in an actual fight. Even in an actual fist fight, there's more tugging than there's actually punches being thrown. Because most of the time, people don't want to continuously get hit in the face. So a lot of times, if some dudes square up and a dude get a couple of punches off, a dude may return fire, get a couple of punches out. Next thing you know, it turns into a wrestling match because nobody wants to continue to get hit in the face. And then even if it isn't wrestling, a lot of the dudes don't square up and go rock 'em, sock 'em, and you see, people ducking and dodging, even in a regular street fight. So just cut the shit. And this is why I know a lot of these dudes haven't been punched in the face before. They're just a bunch of dudes that sit up talking behind a computer. But yeah, I'm here to tell you that that was cap. And like I said, Turkey, he liked to joke sometimes. When he said, "I have a surprise for you," like I said, and if I was Shakur Stevenson, I would have tweeted, I've been like, "Well, you won't be having a fight. You just can't. You couldn't do that anyway. You couldn't just spring that on somebody." And what about the other fighters? And what about the other fighters that's participating in the, you know, participating on the card? You think somebody would actually go for something like that? Absolutely not. But I do think that this stuff with this labeling and this stigma about running this stuff, like I say, that's something that they primarily try to put on black fighters. And that's just real talk. And people get mad when you specifically say who they're targeting and who they're talking about. And then they get mad and say, "Hey man, don't make this about race. Hey man, stop with the victimhood. Hey man, you know, it isn't about you." Once again, you don't get to tell me what to talk about on my platform. Okay. If that's how I feel what the situation is, that's how I feel. You can't change my fucking mind. So you waste your time trying to argue with me about it. All I'm gonna do is either block you or I'm just gonna remove your comment, whichever one I feel like doing at the time. But I just want to let you guys know that's not going to be happening. And that Turkey was pretty much trolling. A shrinking ring as the fight goes on, and to what size it would like. First of all, do you know how like for real? Do you know how ridiculous that sounds? Have you guys ever seen what type of work goes into putting together a boxing ring? Keep in mind, y'all keep forgetting, I done covered quite a few fights. You need a hard hat crew to adjust the arena, the stadium or the arena wherever the fighter is, having a match at. You have if they're fighting in a football stadium, them dudes have to wear hard hats. Okay, they have to wear hard hats when they're readjusting the arena. So if it's a basketball arena, they have to readjust it and they have to fix it to where it becomes a basketball arena again. And the same thing if it's a baseball stadium or football stadium. Like, you guys are nuts. Y'all really thought people really thought that people really fell for this. He can't do that whatsoever. The very idea of somebody ever even thinking of trying something like that and springing that on somebody, like I said, I would quickly say, well, I won't be fighting. Thank you very much. If fight, the eve of the fight, he say, here's something we came up with. You would have to put that in the contract. You could just say, hey, we have a shrinking ring. What's next? A rotating ring or something? A ring that rotates? How would that wouldn't work neither, because you would make the fighters dizzy. I mean, you guys got to relax. For real, you guys got to relax. There was no way Turkey was going to attempt to pull something like this off. But he fooled y'all. He got y'all. He got y'all. Because when I first see this, I was like, and I thought Logan Hart, I was like, wait a minute, he can't do that. And people, the way people was calling me and texting me, they saw this as a real concern. At first, I thought about it. I say, nah, he can't do nothing like that. Yeah, it was fake. Yeah, it was fake. It was fake, Matthew. People thought that he could do. That's not. I don't even think that's possible. that's possible to like, because I've covered fights. You have a full-fledged hard hat crew. They have to wear hard hats when they are taking down those rings and all that kind of stuff. And if you have all these, um, if you have a stage and all that stuff where these guys walk down, if you have like a big budget production for a fight where these dudes, like what would happen when you would see Anthony Joshua, yeah, you have to have you pretty much have to have a hard hat crew. Like, how would that be even possible to have a shrinking ring? And like I said, I would never allow it. I would never allow it as a fighter. I would never allow it as a promoter, and I would never allow it if I was the manager of a fighter. I'd be like, "Nah, my fighter's not fight." Like, no, the ring shrinks as the rails go on, and to like, what would be the size the ring would shrink to? Do you know how dangerous that is and how dangerous that sounds? Like I said, I would never allow that. As a fighter, I'll tell Turkey, I'll say, you kiss my ass. You doing too much. But it was fake. It was fake. And I'm just here to let you guys know you can relax. They will have a smaller ring, but keep in mind, Turkey's own fighter said he didn't want a ring that was just extremely small. So, it doesn't matter. Listen, it doesn't matter what size of the ring it's gonna be. Williams Zepeda is gonna get his ass whooped. And that's just the bottom line. He's gonna get beat. He's gonna get beat the fuck up. Okay? Doesn't matter. And I think the thing is, Shakur is gonna be so pissed off to where he's gonna work Williams Zepeda. And when he beats the hell out of Williams Zepeda for 12 rounds, or he possibly stops Williams Zepeda, then what people gonna say? Oh, they're gonna go out of their way to discredit Shakur Stevenson. I want to say something about Shakur Stevenson, and this is just real talk. I really wish Shakur Stevenson would stop defending Ryan Garcia and caper for him and making excuses for him losing the Rolly. It's just not a good look, Shakur. It's just not a good look, man. Stop defending Ryan Garcia, please, man. It's not a good look. But anyway, I just wanted to let you guys know that's not going to happen. It's not going to be a shrinking ring. Turkey was trolling. He was trolling. And that's just the bottom line. Anyway, Boy Town, I'm out.